to my Father, to my Father. You will carry my Lord, Lord. You said you would be my hero. With you I shall not want, and I shall lack nothing good. I will never let you go, Jesus, unless you bless me, Baba. Give me my own share, Daddy. That is why I'm in your presence. If everybody forsakes me, God, you will never leave me alone. Nobody do me like you, God. For you are the unchangeable changer, miracle worker, destiny changer. Give me my own portion. Lord, take this Lord from me. You will carry my Lord. Carry my Lord. Jesus, carry my Lord. Now I'm in your presence. To have my own portion. God, I cannot bear this alone. Please carry my Lord. You will carry my Lord. Carry my Lord. Now I'm in your presence to have my own portion. People laughing at me because of my trouble. They say I will never ever make it. They say I will be where I am. But I am not moved by what they say or think about me at all. I keep looking to the hills, from whence come my help, Lord. My help comes from the Lord, who made the heaven and the earth. You may say you cannot give me, but you cannot say God will not give me. For as long it is God who shares, every man must have his portion. Bami beru mi baba. You are reliable, you are dependable, you are my God, oh, hey Daddy. Now I'm in your presence to have my own portion. Jehovah, take this love from me. You will carry my Lord. Please carry my Lord. Please carry my Lord. Now I'm in your presence. That's all I need. That's all. My own portion. Yeah, running to my Father. Able to my Father. I love my Father. The great and mighty your presence to have.
Good afternoon, good evening, how you doing? Wherever you are today, we have another unique discussion. Today is the 10th day of September, and we have with us our guest. He's Kilibu Gonglo, who is here to discuss the issue. We asked the question, who should lead Liberia, or who should head the government of Liberia? Since 174 years of governance, seeing different kinds of leadership in Liberia. Comes 2023, who should lead Liberia is the question we are here to discuss this evening, and we were expecting Honorable Josh Mulma. He's still trying to get logged in. If he comes, that's good, but we have with us a powerful person, and that is someone who is schooled in governance and many other aspects. He will introduce himself. But this is to a global internet radio station. We are heard all over the world throughout Liberia, and we are here to discuss the issue who is to lead Liberia. Mr. Gonglo, welcome to 2A Radio.
Thank you, Johnson.
Okay, we give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and who is Gilibu Gonglo.
Well, Kalabo Gonglo is a Liberian. I'm a former professor at the University of Liberia, Department of Mathematics. I also taught at Woodon VS Todman High School for 4 years. I worked as Assistant Minister of Labor for the first term of President Alam Johnson Sirleaf. I did resign, returned to the U.S., went back to school, studied applied statistics. I have taught at 2 different universities as adjunct faculty, Rowan University in New Jersey and Newman University in Pennsylvania. Currently, I'm not teaching this semester. I'm pursuing a postgraduate diploma in data science and business analytics. So I then continue teaching this semester because it's a tough thing. But I found other stuff to do. Quite recent, I was director for a capacity building project in Liberia, the Financial Management Training Program, which was sponsored exclusively by the World Bank. We were building capacity in public sector. So today in Liberia, many of the procurement staff in the different public sector institutions and staff in the finance department, most of them are graduate from the program which I serve as the project which I serve as the director, the last director. Yeah. So it's a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to interact. And unfortunately, I was hoping that my uncle, Honor George Moluba, would have come here so he can face his nephew. For the information, Honor Molu and I know each other. He knows I am his nephew. My late mother was a Pele woman from Bon County, so a lot of Bon public figures in Bon know that we are their nephew. So I was not going to play hardball with him. He's my uncle. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And of course, we miss Honorable Molba. He's still trying, but we just got information that is raining in Bon County. And probably we all know the situation of internet in Liberia. If he gets on, good. If not, we still will find an opportunity where we can discuss the topic in detail, where Mr. Molba will face Honorable Gonglo in discussing who should lead Liberia. The issue is there is an election expected in 2023, and Liberians need to be informed. Information is important in deciding who is to lead Liberia. The Constitution is not clear as to who is to govern the country. It is an open debate that anyone can be a president, but some of us think otherwise. The president is to appoint a cabinet ministers and other officials of government who should be well educated or well schooled. So the question is, who should lead Liberia? What kind of leadership do we expect to lead Liberia? In the minds of Plato, he thinks that a philosopher king should lead a country like Liberia. And by that, he thinks that a philosopher king should be someone who loved, someone who has wisdom, and someone who has intelligence, and someone who can be relied on. And so it's a big discussion. So, Mr. Gonglo, who should lead Liberia comes 2023?
Well, thank you. Well, I have my own opinion on the leadership question in Liberia. Okay. Historically, the leadership question, I would say, is a persistent unanswered question for Liberia. Since a foundation in 1847, Liberia was set out as a nation to become a beacon of hope for the blind race.
Okay.
Liberia was set out to be a country that would prove to the rest of the Caucasian world that a blind nation can have Wall Street, can be industrialized, can have any amenities, social amenities that you find in Europe and America at the time. That was a dream. Unfortunately, it became a failure. It became a failure because there is an unanswered question of leadership in Liberia. There is a history, catastrophic history of failed leadership since 1847. Georgia been no exception. And this is where we are today. And this is the question voters may answer. And I always say to people that those who study finance, who understand investment, Liberia as a nation has been investing in illiteracy. So what has been happening where voters elect anyone, unprepared leaders, is the country is reaping from its investment. But if you ask me who should lead or who is better suited to lead 2023, I will answer, I will list a couple of things that I think voters should consider.
What are some of those things?
One of the things among these, I would say, first, we need a selfless person. A selfless person, it's not difficult to determine who is a selfless person. You can see, you can look at the individual, anywhere from age 35 or more, as enshrined in our constitution, that you must be at the age of 35 or above to contest. Anyone who has lived up to that, you can look at a person's material possession. You can look at what the person has done with his or her life up to that point. If that person is selfless, it's easy to measure that. Second, the person must have, our leader must have integrity.
Okay.
They should practice what they preach. If something is wrong in the house, it should also be wrong in a public life. If something is wrong in a public life, they should also ensure that it is wrong in a private life. We should look for that in our leaders. We should look for people who have demonstrated commitment to the Constitution of Liberia. More often, we elect people who were elected not based on the Constitution, because the Constitution of Liberia has a lot there.
Right.
Has a lot there, but our leaders do not follow the fundamentals of the Constitution. What it says, the rights of citizens, equal treatment, even when it comes to employment. The Constitution is very clear on the distribution of public employment. It should be based geographically based and balanced. It should not be based on ethnicity. But if you look at President we are today, it begs the answer whether that is being followed, whether the way he appoints people in government, whether he's following what the Constitution says. We need to look for leaders who are proven records on fighting for transparency and defending, standing up for the rule of law in Liberia. We need to look for leaders for that. We need to look for that in our leaders. We need to also look for people who have kind of demonstrated in their life that what is good for them is what they say to their followers is something that they themselves are prepared to do. If you say to your followers, do not steal, are you a leader who is also or has not been stealing in Liberia before becoming president or before seeking the office? Are you a leader who has no record of stealing? So don't say to the voters, do not steal, is come to work on time, but you don't have history of going to work on time. We need to find out in our leader. We also need to look at, for example, there are many things I can say on this.
Okay,
but let me just switch a few things. Okay, you can come in because I think I have many other things to say.
You spoke about a few things, and you want someone that can be president comes 2023 to be selfless. You want someone to be reliable. You want someone who follows the rule of law. I'm wondering whether from 1847 up to this day, we have had several leaders. You describe them as failed leaders. Have they not been selfless? Have they not been reliable? Have they not followed the rule of law, the Constitution, so to speak?
It's the evidence is not difficult to find. Why what makes it so classically easier is because President Joseph Jenkins Rebels, the first president of the Republic of Liberia.
Mm.
This is a president who his material possession, he saw well for a good of the nation. Today you have J.J. Rebels Foundation because he wrote in his will that when I die, what I have should be given to the Methodist Church, and this is how the Methodist Church should use that. Imagine, Johnson, if the 20 plus president that came after him had done the same thing, had not sought material possession for their family, had been selfless, had not been looking for wealth, a generational wealth for their family. Imagine what would have happened to that country. You would have had multiplicity of foundations doing different things.
Okay.
But they've all sought wealth. So selflessness has not been found in our leader except Joseph Jenkins Rebels.
What's about the current president? Is he not selfless?
No, it's not.
George Weah?
No, President Weah is not selfless. It's no question. He is not selfless.
Is he not reliable?
Look at his material possession. And look at where the nation is. It's a sharp contrast.
But someone would say that his personal money he used to build those, multiple buildings.
The way you prove, and that's exactly what I said, do not say one thing to your citizens and do something else.
Okay.
When the President Weah declared his asset, when he registered at the Elections Commission, gave property value. When he did all that, let him make it public. When he declares his asset, let him make it public. He doesn't need to have an ironclad lock to it that nobody can see that asset declaration. People, advocates have been fighting for it. They can see it. Let him make it public. Simple as that. You settle that question.
The question who should lead Liberia, we're looking at the recent past, a Harvard tree, because George Weah is a footballer. We can look at his academic records, but importantly, someone would say that, okay, we had a Harvard train. Did she leave behind a good legacy? Was she selfless? Was she reliable? Was in your own criteria set for someone who to be the next president of Liberia? Was she one of those who Liberian would love to have come 2023? Someone of that kind.
I think when it comes to President Sadi, I think it's a mixed baggage. She was good on some, she was not good on some. And I think she was the first to admit it by herself. For example, when it comes to youth education, she said, hey, it's a mess. I didn't achieve that. When it comes to corruption, she said, hey, corruption has become vampire. She was the first to admit her weaknesses. Okay? So, but when it comes to, for example, material possession in terms of physical property, she never built a new house. I mean, wherever she lived and to today's day are things that she acquired long before, probably when she was finance minister. Okay, so she never acquired new property.
When we talk about material possession, would have been something different than just physical structure. We all don't know the bank account of.
Yes, so this is where because I don't even know it, so I can't even speak to that. The manifestation of your possession is what you do physically, like in the case of President Weah, there is a debate about whether it's 18 or 47 condominium that he built. We don't even know it because he has not even declared to say this is a number. So I have not been to Jamaica Resort. Some people say 47 units. Some people say 18 units. But the president can settle that debate by actually just declaring his asset and say, this is all that I have. You know,
that's a good one. That's a good one. But the question today is, and we're not going to deviate from the question, is who should lead Liberia? Now we have had an experience of a footballer. We have had an experience of a Harvard trainee. And the question is, Liberians now could be confused. Do we elect someone who is selfless but doesn't have the level of education that is expected. Someone who will not cut spine before in school. Someone who Liberian can see or be very reliable. Do we have someone like that in Liberia?
I think I leave that question for the voters to decide.
Okay.
But maybe in another phase of this debate, I may be more or less blunt or open. But yeah, what I was
No,
saying.
but listen, the reason why we call you here, we know most of our people cannot make the kind of informed decision on the basis of you knowing the basic facts. Now, this is no disrespect to our people, but the reality is some of you that are educated or that have a better informed decision, you can pass on those information to our people. The better you explain, the better you tell the Liberian people about the differences of leadership, they can have an opportunity to make a better decision comes 2023.
Yeah. So hear what I say. At this moment, Comrade Johnson, there is nobody running for president in Liberia at this moment because
there are many of them who are now in some form campaigning.
No, people are just having aspirational activities. I'm thinking,
right?
Because no one has not even come up with guidelines for 2023. So we don't even have a candidate as yet for 2023. So when we do have candidate, we'll be very active.
Okay, with that said, then I think into the Constitution,
giving us long life, we'll be very active to X-ray, to go in the closets of all of the candidates and see what their life has been about. Because at this point in my life, I feel that if I don't do something extraordinary in 2023, I probably will not do it again. So for 100%. Me, I may be criticized. I won't even go in a presidential candidate or personal life, because what you do in your personal life is a reflection of what you do in public office.
I agree 100%.
If you are a promiscuous person who got plenty of girlfriends around, you're going to obviously be sitting when you get in public.
So you are telling us that anybody who has a lot of girlfriends cannot be president of Liberia?
Of course, that should be one of the qualifying criteria, because if you are married and you have extramarital affairs and it's proven, yes, that should be one of the qualifying criteria.
Someone will say that is not written in the Constitution, so
it's not written. I'm not sure integrity is written in the Constitution. Right. There are other rules there, but we can glean from them and say, look, on the question of the Constitution is a law, it's basically public policy guideline. It's a broad guidelines how to govern the different actors, the different institutions, how the different branches of government will interact with each other. Okay, so it doesn't go into the specific of
details,
the credentials of leaders. No, it doesn't go into that. But it begs the question, it begs the answer right here, that if I'm Caleb Gonglo, I want to be your senator, I want to be your representative, but I'm married to Mrs. Jonette Gonglo, but I have 5 other girlfriends that they are known. People know that this is then I want to be. So obviously, I'm a cheated already. And I'm
Liberian, most Liberians wouldn't pay attention to that. I mean, they feel that
we have to now be active in 2023 and say we'll leave no stone unturned, because in the United States that you and I live, what happened to John Edwards? He just had child out of wedlock. He's vanished from public space, never to come back. Okay,
I agree.
Because it's a serious issue. It's morality issue.
So can we start to petition the Election Commission come 2023 if we saw anyone who has more than one girlfriend or wife, and to say that we petition the Election Commission to deny that person from contesting?
No,
on the basis of morality.
No, you can't do that, because it's not part of the body of law. It's not part of it. But you can educate your voter that if this person say, I'm going to fight corruption, but see, he's not fighting corruption with his wife or with her husband.
Okay.
He's already cheating on his wife. He's already cheating on her husband. Okay. Then that person call voter attention to that. Say, don't believe that. Look at what they do. Don't listen to what they say. That should be the message. But let me say this, Johnson. The question you talk about at this point in the last few decades, there are two Liberians who they could the argument about even connections, international connection. I hear Cummings people, I hear other presidential people. Oh, this person got 40 years experience, 25 years. This person worked for Coca-Cola. This person is known in Washington D.C. The president. So that's not for me. In my judgment, it's not even an argument for 2023. You know
what
the
is
reason?
your argument
Yes,
as to who is to lead Liberia?
In the last few decades, there is no other Liberian better known in Liberia today, living today in Liberia today, more than Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Joshua combined. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, until she became president, she was the most connected Liberian when it comes to global institutions. Okay? Her performance is left to judgment for people to decide. Okay.
But the question we have right now is,
let me end this. Joshua, there is no other Liberian walking on the face of the planet today that is better known or was better known until Joshua became president. Joshua, I went to a little tiny village called Zumala in East Timor in 1999. I was working for I was on the UN mission there. And I went to a village. They don't even speak English there. We were working through interpreter. And I said to the Lord, oh, I'm from Liberia. And they said, George, where? That's the only name that came out of their mouth.
I agree. I was in Qatar and I was talking to a few persons, and the only name they could call was George Weah.
Yeah.
But now,
so if you just oppose his performance
with
his international recognition, there is no match. So my argument is, we do not need Liberian with connection with Coca-Cola factory. I'm a Coca-Cola International. We don't need a Liberian with connection with World Bank.
Are you suggesting that Cummings? Cummings is not best fit to be president of Liberia?
We don't need a leader with connection who has connection with African Development Bank.
But I'm asking you a question. Gonglo,
don't need that.
Gonglo, are you suggesting that Cummings is not best fit to be president?
I'm not just saying that. I'm saying those who argue on international connection, the evidence in the history of leadership in Liberia does not support it. Because the last two persons we have had as president of Liberia, they are the most connected Liberians ever in the history of Liberia.
The criteria you just presented, being selfless, reliable, and someone who respect the laws of the country, I don't think Cummings fall in those categories.
Well, I'm not judging Cummings. I'm not judging anyone at this point because Cummings is not a candidate. No one is a candidate. I'm not putting anybody on the radar.
It's a common sense that we all know that.
All I'm saying is the things we need to look for: selflessness, integrity, demonstrated commitment to the rule of law, demonstrated commitment to the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, proving records of fighting for justice, for transparency. We should look for those things in our leaders. We should look for leaders that are truthful. Okay.
There's information that your brother might be contesting comes 2023. I'm wondering whether such person is best fit to be 2023 president. Whether true or not, whether true or false, but his character, saying your brother more than anyone else.
I know Councillor Tiawan Gonglo very well. I don't know whether he will accept or wrong, but I do know that there are Liberians from all spheres of life that are behind, that have called him to enter the race based on their own observation. But if you ask me about Councillor Gonglo, there's one thing I can say that will may shock some people. I've never seen that guy get angry in my life. I've never seen him get angry. I have even more or less, I would say, not made him happy many times. But he will say, okay, that's fine. Let's move on. What should we? He's always concerned about the next move. Not about where you are falling, where you have made, where you believe that maybe I think I've ill-treated him. I think I've acted bad to him. He's not concerned about it. He's concerned about the next positive thing you need to do. That's a question you ask you. He doesn't get angry, So I always say to him, but what kind of man doesn't get angry? I get angry. Others get angry, but I don't see him get angry.
Do you think besides your brother, we have more other Liberians who are selfless, who are within your category best of persons to be president of Liberia?
I've never even argued that he is the only one. In fact, I like to say this. You remember David Parker of the U.S. Information Service in the early 90s?
Right.
When he said there are more good Liberians than bad Liberians? I believe that.
Okay.
There are more good Liberians than bad Liberians. So Councillor Congo is not one of them. What we need to do is we need to find among these many good Liberians, the one that will lead the country in a better way. That's what we need to do. So I'm not saying there's this one clean person. No. There are more good Liberians than bad Liberians. But the bad ones are the ones leading us all of the time.
But I think the bad ones, if I may join you, might be in the number and the fact that the majority decides for the nation. You probably will see the fewer good ones, not ascending to the presidency.
No, you can't argue that. The reason is that we are a cultural society. Okay, many of the rural voters turn not to vote against government. I mean, unfortunately, many rural voters don't tend to vote against authority. When you are in authority, they tend to respect you. They respect constituted authority. I mean, it's changing a little bit. Maserado has its own characteristics, has its own rhythm. Maserado is always for the opposition because you know what? There are too many slums in Maserado.
Let me ask you the simple question. I present to you three categories of persons: a footballer, a lawyer, an economist. Who do you think can be of a better leadership?
I think I don't want to put it based on the person's professional background.
Okay, let me still put it this way.
I would say this though. I don't want to dwell on the professional background of the person. I would say this though, that many good leaders historically have been lawyers.
Okay.
Many good leaders historically have been lawyers. That's why even in the United States, most of the folks who go in the White House go to law school first.
Okay.
Because the constitution that they're going to use to govern the state, yes, it's something that they understand.
There is no educational background, or there's no educational requirement of anyone to be president as per the Constitution. I would argue with people that the Constitution is not vague as to who is to be a president. Because if the president is to appoint a central bank governor, if the president is to appoint a finance minister, a foreign minister, and all of the critical positions in government, it means then that the president should be someone who is highly educated, intelligent. But there's an argument that education doesn't matter as to who is to lead Liberia. Where do you stand?
No. Look, I agree the fact that there is no educational requirement for elected offices, not just a president, representative from your own county. Bono, what is it?
Kuya?
Yeah, Bono Kuya.
The former, right?
He was a clan chief, right?
Yeah.
And he was elected.
Right.
For me, that's a classic example because there is no educational requirement. Okay,
right.
But in the following election, the people of Bapulu Kante corrected their action, right? So even if you look in the executive law, they are creating the different ministry. If you look there is absolutely no requirement except they have amended. There's no educational requirement there.
I agree.
Because those are political appointments. The president of Liberia can actually appoint the president of the Liberia Marketing Association as Minister of Finance. Because it's actually a political.
But that would be a disservice to the country, don't you think so?
I'm just telling you, so for example, I will argue that in the executive law, they are creating the different ministry, there should be a qualification for
Okay.
each minister. I will argue that one, but I wouldn't go on the constitution for elected offices because of the equality clause. Everybody is equal before the law.
Before, okay.
Once you reach certain age, when you are equal, then you must have equal privilege, equal access, equal everything. So to restrict to put a condition, even though in a way there is condition because there is a property or clause out on the 5,000,
Right.
all that stuff. In other countries, you don't even have that. You know, I remember working for the Carter Center in Kenya, and I learned that you can register a political party one day in Kenya. You just go pick the form or and fill in, and you can register a political party. You know, I mean, so the other countries approach it differently. That here, you don't those are considered entry barrier. They want to remove it. For anyone who wants to contest, can contest. Like in Brazil, you can run in Brazil, not as James Johnson. If there is a popular figure that you believe in, you can put that person picture and name as you on the ballot box. That say if you believe in Barack Obama, that you believe that when you become president or representative or senator, you're going to lead like Barack Obama, you can actually put the picture or caricature of Barack Obama on the ballot to represent you. But it is you, Jensen.
Okay, but let's look at other aspect of selecting or electing leaders of Liberia, specifically the presidency. How do you look at political parties in Liberia? Are political parties well structured to lead, or do you think we need to reduce political parties from 22 to about 2 or 3 political parties?
No. Okay, so that debate, I've been involved in that debate. For me, a country like Liberia that never experienced true democracy, participatory democracy until 1985, right? We are so young. Then we didn't even go for 5 years. We had the Civil War. Then we have all these these different warring factions. Now we started practicing true democracy in 2006 or 2005, I should say. So now, there will be this urge, anxiety that everybody will feel that they were left behind. Everybody will run. That's why in a single central election or district representative election, you can sometimes have 15 candidates. I love that. I like that. I would like to see even 100 presidential candidates in Liberia. I love that. Eventually, the voter will get smarter and the people themselves will get exhausted and say, hey, we now need to do self-examination.
By that time, you and myself will probably not be alive, right?
No, but I love that. It is good because you know what? The waiting period from 1847 to 2005 was too long. So let the people come out. It's a newfound freedom.
Democracy, right?
Yeah, let them come out. It's a newfound freedom. You know, it's a newfound freedom. Let the people come out. Let them romanticize their freedom. And I will support that. Yeah, I'm one of the strong proponent for that we should have. In fact, I believe in our election law, we should remove the clause for property, for bank account. I should go to Liberia today. If I want to put myself for election, I should just go and fill in the form, give my picture, and put on the ballot box.
There would be a lot of confusion if we were to just allow your opinion, to be a policy, that can be followed or be part of our electoral laws. There would be a lot of confusion because our people don't have. Our people are struggling as to how to make decisions. Decision making is a very critical thing. You know that as a statistician. So we think that the people must be informed, and to be informed is not to give them. It's like you give somebody an option of 5 just to a question. That person struggled to find an answer. The best answer of the 5. But if you were to get three possible answers, to a question, someone's going to be okay. I think even if the person doesn't know the answer, there'll be a possible guess, because to get a country being better, that decision making power of the people is something that is very critical to 2023.
No, I still believe that we should remove the barriers to entry in the democratic process. I still believe that. And if ready, if Liberia was a country where ballot initiative would be like maybe in the state of California, where citizens can gather together, collect signature and easily initiate ballot initiative like in other states, I will actually look for money, talk to all our comrades, and we want to take ballot initiative on this proponent really, because I think we should allow people to just run. It's not going to confuse the voters, because you know what? When we have many candidates, many issues are raised. I tell you one experience I had in one of the elections in Liberia. We went to a village in this election, and the people there were sitting down, and one of the candidates said, look, we have gone to actually talk for somebody. The candidate was not present. And this person said, we said to the group, they were asking other questions. And we said, hey, listen.
Governor, just a minute. We have a comment. We have a comment here. It says, this is from Sila Harris. He says, he needs to speak to issues affecting the nation as a whole and not just personal issues that a former councillor, Clergy Town chief can address. What are his thoughts about national security, roles, farm to market, good governance, quality primary education to begin with, the rule of law, how we attract investments and investors? Someone is asking and raising this comment. What could you say?
No, I'm sure the person has been listening, but I think I've addressed some of those issues. I talk because the general question is, who would be better suited to lead 2023?
Right.
I think I listed a few things like commitment, demonstrated commitment to rule of law, which is talking about here. I talk good governance in terms of transparency, commitment to rule of law is part of good governance. In terms of the other or social or services like education, farm to market role, those are things I think are like a product of a good leader. When you have good leader, the good leader is going to actually prioritize. Those are things that affect the people the leaders are meant to lead. So you will address them by being a good leader, by being selfless, by not fighting to amass wealth for your family generation to come. You will begin to address farm to market role. You begin to address national security issue. And for me, national security issue encompasses better education system, better health, better role, better access to credit. Those are national security issues for me, because if those issues are addressed, if people who want to make business, who want to take loan to send their kids to a better private school, can have access to credit backed by government, it's a security matter.
We have the second comment, and this is from the same person, Sila Harris. And he says, public service is a place of noble service to humanity, requiring stand-up character. However, there are more pressing issues to address in our national governance. I'm sure you will agree with him and probably add.
There are. Because historically, this is a country that has been left by itself by her leaders. We've had a colossal generation of failed leaders in Liberia from 1847 to present. So Liberia has actually been fending for herself. And that's why it's reflected in a poor education system, a poor health system, poor road networks, poor hygienic system. Everything in Liberia is substandard because the country has been on her own.
I think someone is admiring your discussion here. It's a brilliant discussion. It means that you probably really discussing the issue in the mind of this person. So we really don't have time, and I would have loved to have Josh Mulmer on his phone on this platform. And I really think we have to come back again. We would have more discussion with Josh Mulmer as to how to get, the to get on the platform. But looking at the issue for discussion, if I'm to ask you to, because we're gone almost 40
Yeah,
minutes. Yeah,
like
so
15 minutes
what
after
could
the
be
time.
some of your summary comments, closing comments, so to speak?
So I will close with my initial argument
Mm.
that for 2023, Liberia does not need a multi-millionaire to be a leader. We don't need a rich man to be a leader. We do not need someone who has worked for the World Bank, who has connection with the World Bank, African Development Bank. We don't need that, because those are not ingredients for good leadership. There are countries that have proven, like Tanzania. John McAfee, the late,
Yeah.
was just a classroom teacher. When he started to do the right thing, it's in human nature, and it's also in the nature of a nation state. They like to identify with success. Everybody was coming to John McAfee and giving and saying, "Look, we can give you grant. You don't need to take loan," because he said, "What? I don't need to take loan to develop Tanzania. Tanzania has got enough money. I'm going to develop Tanzania with Tanzania money." When he was proving that, they say, hey, we want to tap in our sources. We're going to go there and give him some free money.
Do we have
That's
a
what we need to
greater
look for. Let us
example?
not look for people with international connection. We need to look for a domestically grown leadership that is committed to the issues that affect ordinary Liberians, because that person is a local politician. That's what we need to look for.
Okay, that has been one of the tough talking Liberian. He is a statistician and a professor. He is someone who understands the body politics of Liberia. Today we've been discussing who is to lead Liberia comes 2023. It's just the beginning of how we can start to inform our people in Liberia how they can vote come 2023. How do they find the best kind of person to lead? In the words of Kolobu, he says, someone who is selfless. Liberia need to find someone who is selfless. Liberia need to find someone who is reliable, someone who believes in the Constitution, the rule of law. And the list go on, and you can add to the list. But we will bring Kilibu Gonglo on this show next time. Sorry, we didn't have George, the former Bon County representative. He was expected to come on this platform with the brother here. But we're still going to follow up the discussion, and we hope that you will join us next time. But there has been 2A Radio, is a global internet radio station broadcasting from Pennsylvania, the United States of America. We are broadcasting to the rest of the world. And this is how unique 2A Radio is. You can hear 2A Radio from Nima County, from Bon County, from the rest of the counties in Liberia and other parts of the world. Join us next time. We will be here and bring you more discussion. For this discussion as to who is to lead Liberia, we asked you to join us in your comments. And probably if you think you have a better knowledge of discussing this topic, we will be glad to have you come on the station and discuss the matter. So we want to say thank you so much for coming on this platform on the short notice. We'd appreciate your discussion today.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.